Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. As always, I'm Grestar, and this is another run of Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. I recorded this yesterday, March 18th, 2021. I'm watching it again here now, the following morning, March 19th, 2021, and as of today, it is the world record by like 29 seconds, I'm pretty sure. And so who knows how long it'll last, because my previous world record only lasted a week, but just in case this does happen to last, I figured I'd actually provide commentary. So, to note, this is post-commentary. I was just recording the run without talking, without any sort of pressure like that. But since it is world record and everything, I wanted to provide some sort of commentary to go along with it. So really quickly, a couple things to know. I play on the PC version, the Steam version specifically. I use an Xbox One controller. And yeah, for the beginning of the setup, you saw that I picked a Majin character, specifically a Majin female, and I chose the fighting style, like the hybrid style, the third one. And the reason for that style is I want to have both Meteor Crash and Consecutive Energy Blast. So something that I can rely on up close, and something that I can use as a backup if people are just too far away, and I need to just ping them with something real quick to kill them, you know? Something else to note about this video is that it might not be of the best quality, and I apologize for that, but it's unfortunately out of necessity, just in large part because of the laptop that I'm using. It's far from the worst, but it's not the best, you know? And so a lot of this game, since it's using real time and not in-game time, a lot of the run relies on just how quickly your game can load, because there are a lot of cutscenes and everything, right? Just loading between the missions and the hub world that you see here, like here. And so you really want to cut down the load screens and such as much as possible, and so I've just bombed all of my settings. And OBS was telling me that my encoder was not having a good time, and so like I told it to focus on performance rather than quality. And yeah, so there you go, apologies for that, but just has to happen for the run. So to start off, you just have to run to these three people, you talk to them, and then you can go up and actually talk to Elder Kai and do the first mission, which is fighting Raditz. Talk a little bit more about this. The reason that I pick Majin female over the other races, well first, if a race has an option between male and female, those, like, male and female have different stats, and honestly, I can't tell you what the different stats are. Someone did a really good in-depth post on, I think, a Steam discussion forum, really breaking down, like, all the numbers and everything. It was really impressive, but I didn't dwell super hard on that, but just know that there are different stats. And then the female Majin in particular, too, has a combo that's basically, it's infinite. As long as the enemy doesn't, like, vanish or use an evasive skill, and as long as you don't mess up, which you'll see me mess up plenty of times in this run, it's infinite. So it's a great way for someone who's not great at the game like me to still be able to take on, like, really tough opponents. So those are the big things that you want to know just going into this, is like, that's why I picked the Majin female in particular. That's why I picked the hybrid style for my fighting style. And here we go. And so you can see the infinite combo take place here. It's heavy attacks, and then once you slam them down with your foot like that, you press B to shoot out just a single little ki blast, and then you hold L and tap forward, and then you'll do like a little zoom down to them, and then you just immediately resume the infinite combo. So you just hit Y, again, Xbox One controller for me, for the heavy attack, and just begin it over again. You'll see a variation of that throughout this run as well. If I knock someone down too low, because like a big thing is when you do that combo, you slam them down with your foot, they hit the ground and then bounce up, and when you like do the little swoop down, you kind of catch them into that motion again, right? Into the infinite combo again. If you're in the air, and so, you know, you slam them and they're too far down for like the swoop to reach, that kind of thing, instead, after I shoot my ki blast, I'll hold down left trigger and actually like fly down to them and hit them with an X, a light attack, and then go into the heavy attack infinite combo. So you'll see that plenty of times throughout this run as well. So this is the first part, well, really the only part that I really deviated from Hat Lord's previous world record. He had a 150.53 or something like that. No, it wasn't that much. I don't think it was that high. It was a 150 something on the higher end. But yeah, this is the point where I'm first going to deviate, and honestly, I don't know if it made much of a difference, because where I thought it would make a difference, as far as my splits are concerned, it didn't. Or at least not by a huge amount. I'll see again once we reach that point, but instead of going and doing the parallel quest, which is like the next required thing in order to move the story along, I'm going to go and do the first 2 trainings with Yamcha, the training with Piccolo. I'm going to purchase some levels from Tosak, and then jump into the parallel quest. And so the reasoning for that is, the parallel quest involves 3 separate little fighting segments. First you fight 2 Cybermen, and then like a Kaiware man afterward, I guess, so 3 Cybermen, kind of. And then you fight 3 Time Patrollers, and then you fight Yamcha and Tien. And so within that parallel quest, just 3 separate fights, and so, the faster you beat them, the faster you can move on from the parallel quest, right? And I figured that you have to do these training events anyway at some point, with how we've currently routed this, in order to get the TP medals. You'll see I get 1 here from beating Yamcha the first time. So you have to beat them eventually anyway, and with 3 fights in the parallel quest, the faster you beat it, the faster you move on from the parallel quest and can get back into the game. And another thing is, like, let's say that you're level 5 when you're going into the parallel quest. You get to pick who you are, like who you play as, and up to 2 allies to bring along with you. You can go in alone if you want, but you can bring up to 2 allies with you. If you're level 5, your allies will also be level 5. And so the higher, the stronger you are, the stronger your allies are too. And so at least theoretically, it seems to me, the faster you can get through those 3 fights within the parallel quest. So that's my reasoning for doing this now. I did Yamcha's initiation, I'm doing Yamcha's lesson 1, and then I'm gonna go down, grab a quick item from an NPC, and then do Piccolo's. But yeah, if you've actually been watching, you'll see that some of these fights they're not perfect. The thing with this run is I had my fair share of sloppy fights, but then I also had a fair share of, this is the best I've ever done at this fight ever. So they compensate for each other a little bit, it balances out. Near the end especially, I had some great fights for me, where it's just like, I've never done better here, that was amazing. And then I'll do terribly kind of thing, But yeah, you see, I grabbed that like Senzu Essence Capsule from that girl who stands right by Piccolo. And why I do that is because you can sell that at the store for 1,500 Zeni. And now that's not a ton, but when you're like at the beginning of the run, when you're this low a level, Tosak will level you up for 500 Zeni each. I don't know where the cutoff is when it jumps from 500 to 1,000 Zeni as the requirement. But with that item that we purchased, and with the money that we've earned from doing the 2 Yamcha training sessions and then this Piccolo training session, we should be good to level up 4 times from Tosak alone. So let's see what level I end up here, because I'm actually not entirely sure. Okay, so I'm level 4. So yeah, I'm assuming that I can buy 4 more levels from Tosak once I sell the Senzu Essence Capsule. And so I'll be at level 8. From the tests that I've done of like, trying to determine whether or not... Oh, another important thing. After that, talk to this one so you unlock the Time Nest bot. Because you don't technically need to do that otherwise, but it's good to unlock him. So yeah, from the tests I've done of this strategy though, I end up either level 8 or level 9 when I'm going into the parallel quest. And technically, you can also remove the scouter that your character comes with and sell that for another 500. And so, you could buy like another level up from Tosak with that. But I figured the time it takes to like unequip it and sell that item as well, and the time it takes to like purchase another level up, it didn't seem necessarily worthwhile. Not having a scouter actually doesn't mess any of this up, even though a big part of this parallel quest is like, equip your scouter and use, like it doesn't actually matter. But if anyone needed to know, you technically can sell the scouter for another 500 Zeni to buy another level up or whatnot. With this part of the parallel quest, the very first bit where you're just using the scouter to find the 2 items, you can't really go faster past a certain point. because you have to wait for his dialogue to end, and that's a big thing just about this game in general. There are so many parts where it doesn't matter like how quickly you do this or that, how quickly you defeat an enemy, because you still have to wait for a certain bit of dialogue to pass before the game will actually progress. There are exceptions, obviously, but there are just a lot of fights, a lot of parts in this game that are like that. So this bit here, next we're flying over to Krillin right away. We're going to find him downed in a little green circle. And this is what you would see if you're doing parallel quests with allies or if you're playing online with other, other player characters. If someone gets knocked out, you got to revive them like this. You just go into their circle. If you're using an Xbox One controller, you hit right bumper and that targets them. And then as long as you're in the circle targeting them, it'll automatically heal them back up. So yeah, while I'm level 8 here, and the 2 allies, Android 21s that I picked to come with me, are also level 8 because of that, Krillin himself is level 1. He's always level 1. And I've tried to see if there's a way to just like skip having Krillin, or to speed this part up so I didn't have to go through that dialogue or those 2 like tutorial boxes. I haven't found a way to do that. Pretty sure here, I struggled to actually connect with the Cybermen. Yeah. It didn't go great. Another thing that another runner taught me, I think this was Sage of Keyblades who taught me this one. Sage of Keyblades and Lord Pixel. But they said like during this part, because it might have been Hallowed, I think it was Lord. During this part, if you use a super attack, then your allies, if they have enough ki, will also use a super attack. So I was trying... There are times where I'll try to be sparing with that, and times where I'll like purposely use a super attack, hoping that they will as well. But yeah, those Cybermen, that was a pretty sloppy fight. I just couldn't connect, and then I really should have shouldn't have like fired those ki blasts. I was too confident in their damage. I should have just zoomed down and killed that green one. And then that blue one, I think it's the Kai Waterman. I messed up a little bit. You saw that I started to do my meteor crash, where I punch a lot, and it didn't connect right away. Like, it didn't lock him into it. You see, I used that attack there, and I was hoping that one of my allies would also use theirs. And they might have, since they're fighting in a separate area, they very well could have. But you see, they beat one of them before I beat the one I was focusing on. And this one's already halfway dead, too. So I think just having my computer allies at a higher level does help, because it seems like these fights go by more quickly. And if you're familiar with this run, you'll definitely see this part too. Like the fight against Yamcha and Tien also goes by quickly, at least for my standards, as far as what I would experience before trying to employ this strat.
Something else is closing in. Hold on, isn't this?
So I do want to say that I think this strat is helpful. I'm just not sure how helpful. And again, like once I reach a certain split, I'll try to see if I can tell a little bit better, but so I'm using my super attack here, both just to get him down quickly and to encourage my allies to use theirs if they have any. But I figure while I have ki, like let's quickly get him down. So Yamcha's already down. I just need to focus on Tien really quickly. Super, yep.
Good timing. Why don't you jump in there with them too?
Something that I want to look into more with this part in particular is how I can minimize the dialogue there. Like, there was the whole Yamcha had, oh, I died speech, and then Tien was like, I'll avenge you, Like, I wonder, is that the shorter option, or would it be shorter if I kill Tien first, and then Yamcha? Like, does the order matter? I do definitely think it matters who you bring along as your ally, but thankfully neither of my Android 21s spoke this time. Or actually, one of them might have at the beginning. I was talking. I was distracted. They'll be like, you have 3 eyes, I must study you, or something like that, And then Yamcha will be like, you're pretty cute, because, him and women. This is another part that I've changed based off of what I would normally do. Usually, after the parallel quest, I would go sell the Hercule badges that I earned from the parallel quest, and then use those to level up. I decided for this run to try something a little bit different, where I kind of just went for the next mission right away, because I figured I was already level 8 or 9. Let's just see how I do. Because there is a reason that I want to be at a higher level for this like Earth history, Saiyan history part. The reason for that is that the first two fights in this segment, you have Nappa and then you have Turles. And both of them, there's a certain point of dialogue where if you get the enemy to half health by that point, you get to skip between 20 and 30 seconds of dialogue. Like, they just won't really talk about it, you know? I messed it up this time because you saw at the beginning that Nappa was just flying around, just dodging me. Normally he doesn't do that. So I was like, wait, no, please come back. But it didn't work out. But you see this whole thing where Gohan talks about the red eyes because I'm a Majin. Krillin talks about him being scared. If you get Nappa down to half health before Gohan has that line, you just skip that dialogue. It just doesn't come up. I mean, part of it comes up at the very end, but either way, you gotta skip a good chunk of it. Normally, I think it would just start at that presence is familiar, you know, if you do it right. But, so this Nappa fight, again, it took, I think, like 20 seconds longer than it should have, just because I was a little too slow in getting down his health. If I had been able to connect with Nappa right away and just, you know, continually beat him down, I think it would have been fine. But yeah, I lost time there, which is unfortunate. But you'll see in this Turles fight, I'm able to do that one successfully, at least. There's one point in the Turles fight at the beginning, you'll hear it, where Elder Kai says, like, in fact, he looks just like Goku, right? Normally, that's where Turles says, my name is Turles, and he goes into his whole monologue there. If you get him down to half health before Elder Kai's line finishes, instead, it will jump to Goku saying, this guy looks just like me for some reason. So you'll see it here. Yeah, so normally, you know, you'd have this guy looks, in fact, he looks just like Goku. And then you have my name is Turles, and you have this whole monologue, and then eventually you get to Goku saying, this guy looks just like me for some reason. But if you can get Turles down to half health before that line, it skips that. And this one's longer than the Nappa one. I think you saved 30 seconds doing this one. So I was really glad I got this at least. Frankly, if I hadn't gotten this, I would not have gotten world record with this run. Like, that's how important it was. And you see, now it jumps into my name is Turles. You see a few lines, and then it cuts off and it ends the fight. It's interesting. But near the end of this run, I was so anxious because I was like, don't let that Nappa cutscene be the reason I didn't get world record. And thankfully it wasn't. If I had gotten that like dialogue skip, it would have been a faster world record, obviously. But I guess that's just something that I can shoot for in the future. As far as this fight, to my knowledge, there's nothing to skip. This one's just literally beat Nappa as fast as you can, and then beat Vegeta as fast as you can. I don't know of any better way to do it. So obviously, like, the higher level you are, the more powerful you are, the faster you can beat this. And that's something I do want to consider. Because like I said, I jumped right from the parallel quest into this instead of leveling up like I normally do. Because leveling up takes time, and I wanted to see, what if I just save that time instead? However, when I take the time to actually level that way, I've been able to beat both Nappa and Vegeta before Vegeta ever says, like, what are you waiting for, you know? Like, I think the fastest I've done it was I beat it on Nappa saying, what? You know? Whereas that fight, it took longer. I haven't timed it. I don't know how much longer. It just took longer. And so, something to consider. And then same with this part. You're fighting the Great Apes now. Great Ape Nappa and Great Ape Vegeta. And it's mostly a matter of, well, first there are like 3 phases technically. First, you just ignore Vegeta and you focus on Nappa. Once you beat Nappa, then it like shifts. There's like a cutscene skip, you know? Or not a skip, but like a cutscene transition. And then you have to beat 1 bar of Vegeta's health. And then there's another cutscene transition. And then you have to finish Great Ape Vegeta off. The higher level you are, the more powerful your attacks are, obviously. So, like, the fewer of these blasts I have to do to get his, like, purple... You can see that purple bar down. While that purple bar remains, they're invincible. So the stronger you are, obviously, the faster you can take that out, the more damage you do to his actual health. So it's a difficult balance. That's one of the things that I struggle with currently when routing this game, when trying to figure out what's best to do is when to purchase levels. Because that's the big thing that I found, like, that jumped the world record from 2 hours 21 minutes to just 2 hours, you know, was finding NPCs that give you clothes that you can sell for money that you can use to buy levels. But the quote-unquote issue is that there are actually, like, a few NPCs who will do that throughout the course of the run. And you'll see the first instance of it soon. It's coming up right after I visit all of these time miniatures. But, you know, while you can get clothes and you can sell them for Zenny and you can use that Zenny to buy levels, obviously that takes time. You know, you have to go out of your way to get the clothing, to sell it, and then you have to... Unfortunately, when you buy levels, as you might have seen earlier, you can only buy them one at a time. You can't buy them in bulk. I wish you could. That would save so much time. But instead, you know, you have to spend, like, you know, a minute or two purchasing levels. And obviously, the more times you go to Tosog, you know, go out of your way to talk to him over the course of the run, and the more levels you purchase, like, that takes time. It obviously saves time in a way, too, because it makes fights faster, and it gets rid of, like, a post-fight level up screen, which just makes you linger for a second or two. Like, you just can't mash through it. You have to stop, because it's like, you did it, you leveled up, well done. But, you know. The issue is, does the time that it saves, like, equal or exceed the time that it wastes, or the time that it takes to level? That's what I'm not sure about. And it's kind of hard to test those things, too, because it's not like the fights can be perfectly consistent, and so there are just a lot of factors that go into this. And, yeah. And it can make tests, too, like, you have to do an entire run to test one thing. Like, you know, I had my strategy here of, like, let's try to level up before the parallel quest. And I had to play at least through the TP medal split. There's one point in this run where you're just required to have 15 TP medals, which is a kind of currency. Again, it's a thing. I get one for each mission or each, like, instructor training session that I do the first time that I do it. And yeah, at one point in the run, you just need 15 in order to progress with the story. Elder Kai just won't let you otherwise. Okay, yeah, so we have one more time miniature to visit. This is going to be Hercule's house.
Greetings.
And so these, yeah, you just visit these. You talk to the dudes that all look alike, waving their arms. You just mash through the text, and then you can leave the miniature right away. But you have to talk to all 5 of them, and then talk to Supreme Kai of Time before you can move on. But here, we jump in our vehicle, we fly out this right little gate, and we're dropping in on this NPC right here. He hates bitter people. And so what we want to do is not talk to him twice like I did, but use Anguish. And as soon as he reacts, we can talk to him. He gives us 4 pieces of an outfit. We zoom down to a store as quickly as we can. We sell all of those pieces. We don't care for the outfit. We just want the money, right?
We have nice new...
And then we use that Zenny to go and purchase more levels. And because I hadn't done it before, I sold my Hercule badges too, just so I could level up all at once. But this, again, is where I wish that you could buy levels en masse, you know, like in bulk, because that would really save some time here instead of having to click through each individual level like this. Unfortunately, I have not yet been able to find a way to do that. I just don't think you can. I think you have to buy them one at a time. And, that's another thing. Like I mentioned earlier, load screens are like a huge part of this run. This is another thing, is like the time it takes for you to be able to press B to talk to an NPC again, or to click through their dialogue. You know, how long does it take for a button to light up where you can actually select it, that kind of thing. Like, I 100% believe that if I had an internal solid-state drive, instead of having this game on an external hard drive, like a, you know, hard disk drive, I think that I would have a faster time just inherently because things would load more quickly. 100% believe that, which again is why I had to, like, go into my graphics display, my game settings options, and just, like, lower them as much as possible. Because I really need as much time as I can from those moments. But yeah, it's surprising how much your skills, your stats are actually boosted just by leveling up. Even if you don't spend any points, leveling up greatly increases your skills. And so that's why I think this is so important. But then too, with all of these levels purchased, we still do get the attribute points that we would normally have earned. And so we can go and spend those all at once rather than throughout the run multiple times having to go into our attributes list and boost them. So yeah, we talk to Supreme Kai of Time because we need to, and then we talk to Multiplayer Man. Because if we don't talk to him, at some point in the run, he'll yank us out of the time nest to explain his whole shtick. And so we just want to get that out of the way as soon as possible. So before we actually talk to him and go into the fight, we're going to want to actually use those attribute points that we just purchased. So we go in, and I'm focusing on basic attacks, because my main thing with this character is using that infinite combo that the Majin female has, right? In previous attempts, I would then do Ki Blast Supers, but for this one I wanted to try Strike Supers instead. I wanted to focus more on increasing the damage of Meteor Crash, and then just trusting that my consecutive Energy Blast would be, like, potent enough just because of the levels that I had, rather than, like, the attribute points I put into it. You also saw that I equipped a healing item, one of those energy capsules. That's purely just a safety strat. It's not required for a run, but sometimes the enemies, like, you get unlucky in a fight. That can just happen. Even for as many hours as I've played this. Okay, I haven't played a ton. I'm not good at this game, like, casually, so I really can't say that, but the point is, you can be surprised by just how poorly a fight can go that normally you have no trouble with. And it happened during one of my tests where, like, I actually lost during the Nails and the Slug and Turles fight coming up. I took things a little too casually was the issue, and it came back to bite me. But then I was paranoid doing this run. I was like, let me just equip that really quickly. Because obviously it takes time to equip that item, but it takes a lot more time if you die during a fight, you know? So I figured, why not just throw on that safety strat? There's another safety strat you can do in this. When you drop down onto that NPC... Oh, really quickly, an annoying thing about this fight, doesn't matter how well you do against him, it's a set amount of time. I mean, I think you still have to lower his health enough, but, like, you have to wait for all of this dialogue to pass. It's dumb. Anyway, as I was saying, when you drop down from Hercule's house, like Miniature Rift, to talk to that NPC, to do the Anguish emote, to get his clothes, if you go across the street, like to the left, you can talk to Amy, and she'll give you a set of clothes too. And those clothes have no negative effects, they just boost your health. And so it's a great safety strat. Like, obviously it takes a little bit more time to go across the street and talk to her, and then to equip the clothes afterward. But, you know, it's not that much time. So unless you're going for, like, really competitive times, it can be worth picking it up just for survivability's sake. Because especially if you're just learning the run, you know, it's so much better to just be able to beat fights and to finish the run than to keep dying because you're trying to go for every single second, you know? So I would certainly recommend that for people who are starting off. This one, you beat Midoriya as quickly as possible. As soon as he's dead, this fight is over and the split is done. Well, I make my splits on the clear. So, yeah, there's that, but still. And aside from that, it's just, you mash start to go through all the cutscenes. And you'll see sometimes, like, at the start or the ends of fights, I might accidentally hit start too early. Like, I get too excited to skip the cutscene, so I'll be mashing start already. So you see the little menu pop up with, like, you sure you want to retry? You know, like that kind of thing. So yeah, she gives you an item there. It's just about, like, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 has sold 1 million copies or something. Or 10 million? It's 10 million, I think. It's a large amount, which good for them. But it's unfortunate that she yanks you out of the time nest. But because she yanks you out of the time nest for that, when otherwise you could just, like, immediately go and talk to Elder Kai again for the next mission, I decided to try to take advantage of it and train with Raditz here. I meant to do Meteor Crash and then remembered, like, oh yeah, your skills are all mixed up. Like, you have different skills when you're doing instructor missions. But anyway, I thought I'd take advantage of the time where Supreme Kai of Time actually pulls you out to do the Raditz training mission, so I get one of the last TP medals that I need. So again, as a quick breakdown, you need 15 TP medals at one point in the run just to progress, right? And so you get one from doing the parallel quest, which is required, you know? You get one from doing Yamcha's initiation, and then one from doing Yamcha's lesson 1, one from doing Piccolo's initiation, and then one from doing Raditz's initiation. So that gives you 5. At some point in the run, before that 15 TP medal split, you are praying that Yamcha will have one of his special training events where he throws a turtle stone and you have to go hunt for it. And then once that happens, you are praying that the turtle stone is somewhere within that resort district island rather than in the mainland. Because if he throws it down to the main area, you're almost guaranteed to get 8 medals instead of 10, which is just really unfortunate because then you have to do 2 other missions. You know, you could do parallel quests you haven't done before. You can do other, like, teacher initiations. So you could do, like, Krillin's, or you could do Vegeta's, or Tien's, or Nappa's in the back corner kind of thing. But obviously, having to do 2 extra fights means taking extra time. So you really want Yamcha to throw a stone on the Resort District Island so that you can get it as quickly as possible, so he'll give you 10. So you just have the 15 that you need right away. Yeah, with this fight that I just talked all the way over, you just beat Rikum and Guldo as quickly as you can. Nothing super special about that. With this next fight, with Berter and Jace, you can only beat them down to a certain level, and it's maybe like a 1/4 of their health or something you can get rid of. Like each. Yeah, see? And then it just blocks you off right there. And then you have to wait for the dialogue to end before you can actually do more damage. As soon as that certain bit of dialogue is passed, you have to rush in and kill one of them just as quickly as you can, because as soon as one of them is dead, the scene will begin to transition. Like, there'll be more dialogue, and then once that ends, it moves on, but yeah.
Would you rather end up like that one? Who the hell are you? I'm Joker, Satan from Earth.
So I mostly keep fighting during these parts just to kind of keep them off my back. I mean, one thing to consider is trying to keep your ki meter up just for in case. Because there are some fights where it is super useful because your ki actually will transfer over from like one fight to the next. In this case, though, I'm mostly fighting just so he doesn't hurt me. Because even though he's invincible now, I am not. And that's the case, unfortunately, every time an enemy is invincible, except for the final boss, which is really obnoxious. Like, I love it for the final boss that that's the case, but it's super annoying that for the rest of these fights it's not, and that you can't hurt them, but they can hurt you. And you can see me, I accidentally hit start there, trying to skip the cutscene, because I was just mashing it, you know. But yeah, same thing here, beat one of them as quickly as possible. There'll be another bit of dialogue. Once that dialogue is over, then you move on to the next phase. So I don't have to do anything to Jace there. I just do it for the sake of doing it. As soon as you beat the one, I think you could just sit and wait for the dialogue to end, and then it would automatically move on to the next scene. Also, full disclosure, I said there you just beat one of them as quickly as you can. You actually might have to beat Berter. I don't know. I always end up with Captain Ginyu and Jace here, and I always end up beating Berter in the previous one, but I just realized, like, I'm not sure that it would trigger the same if you beat Jace in the last one. Or would Berter be here? I don't think so. I don't know, there's specific dialogue, like, targeting Jace, but that could just be because Jace is the one that's here because you killed Berter. I don't know. Interesting. Something for me to test at a later date. But yeah, another case where you can only get both of them down to a certain amount of health, and then you just have to wait for, you know, another, like, the scene will transition right here. And now you can actually kill Jace. Ginyu is still invincible. Jace is not. See, you still can't hurt him. Once again, just a matter of you have to wait for another dialogue cue, and then I'll rush in and beat him down as quickly as I can. I believe with this one, I waited for the cue. I think at this point I actually like pulled out my phone and checked it. Because I was getting messages on Discord. But yeah, I rush in, I connect with him, and then I just use my meteor crash to finish off his health real quick.
Except the one that arrived just now. You want to let him go? Why? Are you friends
So it's
or
right after
something?
this line with the no, not exactly, this is awkward. So I go in to connect with him early on, just to try to not waste any time, and then unleash a barrage. And then once he finishes the line like, how can this be? It'll move on to the next bit. And this is the last part of this split, the Ginyu Force split. You have to beat Captain Ginyu in Goku's body, and then you have to beat Turles. No invincibility here, so it's just a matter of beat him as quickly as you can, and then you're done.
An official member of the Ginyu Force.
I appreciate the honor, but I have other things I need to do.
Just when I thought it was all wrapped up.
Yay, we did it. I mean, so that's that. You just skip through all the cutscenes again. And then you're moving on. Yeah, so this is moving into the first split that I'm like genuinely afraid of as far as I could die. Like this split has the first fights where I'm like, oh, this is going terribly. Oh no, what's happening, you know? And unfortunately, things like this happen, like the Hero Coliseum. You just have to watch cutscenes or like skip through dialogue. It pulls you out of the time nest and then you have to go back in. It's really obnoxious. And between like the last world record and this one, they added another thing like that, like another guy to pull you out. It's super obnoxious. And so technically, I did go faster than 29 seconds better because like I had to deal with being pulled out when Hatlord didn't in his last world record run. But you know, when he inevitably takes this back from me, you know, he'll have to go through that cutscene as well. So, but yes, just the Frieza saga split. It's a dangerous one. It's a dangerous one for two fights in particular. There is the Slug and Turles fight, which is just, it's long because there's so much dialogue that you need to pass where they're invincible but you're not. And then even after that dialogue ends and the scene transitions, they're back up at full health. You're still just as injured as you were. And so if they were able to beat on you, then it sucks, you know? With this fight, so the Frieza nail fight, you want to get Frieza down as quickly as possible. There's this dialogue that you just have to wait to pass, which again, like, is so often in this run. It's just a very common thing. But, once you get him down to a certain amount of health, this monologue will begin. And so, you know, the faster you get him to start the monologue, or I guess it's not a monologue because, like, Nail's also talking, but you get me. The faster you get this bit of dialogue to begin, the faster it'll end, you know? It's just basically that. But yeah, you see how long this dialogue is. If we could find a way to actually skip all of this mandatory dialogue, that would have to be one of the biggest time saves of the entire run. There are so many fights with so much unskippable dialogue that, you know, just act as triggers. By the way, the language that you use for the dialogue, it actually does make a difference. If you play this game with Japanese audio, overall, over the course of the run, it'll take you about 2 minutes longer. Just because the Japanese, it takes longer for them to deliver those lines. So I went through and I timed, I think, all of the dialogue restricted scenes, you know? Anyway, yeah, found it interesting. So there are only 2 languages that you can play currently. There's English and Japanese. So English is the faster one by about 2 minutes. Once again, you can see here, Slug is now invincible. I have reached the point where I can no longer deal any damage to him until a lot more talking has passed. So while we're waiting, we're going to get Turles down to the same amount of health, because once the dialogue passes, we actually need to finish both of them off. So we want to get them as weak as possible. You know, there are other fights where it's like, as soon as a bit of dialogue happens, you're chill, you can kind of just wait, and it'll automatically transition. But once this dialogue is over, we actually have to kill him. There'll come a point where Slug is like, I feel a surge of pure dark energy. After he says that, you need to unleash.
What? Is something funny, Slug?
But until then, you just gotta wait.
One step closer to ruling the universe. How could I not be happy? It's incredible! Once this is finished, you're next, Turles. I hope you're prepared.
Don't be so cold, Slug. Wanderers like us should stick together.
If you swear to become my loyal servant, I might consider it. But we might never get along anyway.
Go on.
Somehow, this fight is too dangerous. They need to leave the area for their safety.
Go on. In the way if we stick around. Sometimes you need to trust in others. Huh?
Here we go. So here we have feel surge of pure dark energy. And now we can see damage being done. So we finish him off, shoot him, and that's why I want consecutive energy blast, so that I have a long range option for things like that. Because sometimes if you have to fly all the way up to someone, it can be a big pain. But here it's a matter of we want to get them down to a certain amount of health as quickly as possible, so that we can trigger. I'm pretty sure you have to do this. Get them down, one of them down as quickly as possible, so that you trigger Trunks coming. And then once he does, Slug and Turles will both be at the health you left them at, and then you just need to beat them, like actually KO them as soon as you can. So it's dumb when Turles runs away. But there we go. So that fight's over. And now we can return to fighting Frieza, which is better. It's better. I just hate the Slug Turles fight for how much just unskippable dialogue there is and how long they're invincible. This Frieza bit starts off interesting though. Like obviously we fought him before, but now we're getting into like the multiple Frieza fights in a row. This first one, you can only barely hurt Frieza and then he'll be invincible. The actual way to skip, like to move on to the next phase, is for Vegeta to die. I don't know of a way to make Frieza focus Vegeta. And you can't hurt Vegeta because, you know, he's an ally in this fight. And so I fly away to get rid of one target so, you know, Frieza doesn't have as many options, right? And then you just hope that he focuses Vegeta down. He did take longer to kill Vegeta this attempt than I would have liked. And so, like, that's, hey, technically another potential time save for future runs. But again, to my knowledge, there's nothing you can really do to influence Frieza in this. I feel like you just have to hope. But I'm always hoping that Vegeta will die before he ever says anything. So, like, as soon as this line popped up, I was like, ah, great, you know? But I did like the, you really think you can beat Frieza? Sort of. And then he immediately dies. I did find that humorous, at least. These next few Frieza fights are basically the same. You want to get Frieza down to a certain amount of health. As we saw with that first one, once we got him down to that bit of health, Goku came in. Like, we moved on to phase 2. Now with this one, once you get him down to a certain amount of health, he'll be invincible, and Goku will start talking about doing the Spirit Bomb.
I don't know if it'll work. There's something I have.
And so another case where you want to trigger the dialogue to begin as soon as possible so that it will end as soon as possible. Here, once again, beat Frieza down to a certain point, and then it'll do this cutscene, and you move on to the next phase. Those ones at least are nice because they're back-to-back. There's no, like... We saw that confirmation screen where it gave us, like, an A ranking and whatnot, right? So we're starting off with, like, no key here because it's not a transition from the previous thing. No key, full health, that kind of thing. The other ones were nice because we still had whatever key we had stored up, and so we could immediately hit him with a super attack like the Meteor Charge. With this one, I build up some ki, and then I blast him as quickly as I can to just try to end this fight as soon as possible. Because at least with that fight, it's just a matter of you get him down as quickly as you can. You don't have to wait for dialogue. But now we move on to the scariest fight near the beginning of the game. Because this is the first half of the run, right? So this is the scariest fight in the first half of the run. It's fighting Frieza and Cooler together here in Namek as it's being destroyed. This, it can just go super poorly. Because both Frieza and Cooler have different, like, counters and combos that just really can mess with you. You know, if they vanish behind you, they often have attacks that are quick enough that, you know, they get the first hit, and so their combo takes precedence. Then you can see here a lot of times I'll be vanishing, and then Frieza will just immediately hit me. And even there, like, I flew around because I was specifically trying to avoid his, like, I'm gonna hit back over my shoulder, right? But then he did it anyway. I got concerned in this fight, this run. I really did. And then there, like, I'm finally about to get a combo off on Frieza. One of Cooler's lasers comes out of nowhere and interrupts me. It was so frustrating. And so I reached a point where I'm like, okay, while I have you, I'm just gonna try to get off as much damage as I can with Meteor Crash. Okay, another thing to know, if someone is using their ultimate attack like he was, you can see him charging that huge ki blast. If you get him with a fully charged power attack, it will, it'll first cancel the ultimate, but it will also completely deplete their stamina. It'll stamina break them. So that can be really useful. Obviously, if you get caught in an enemy ultimate, it sucks. It takes a lot of time, it deals a lot of damage, but if you can catch them with that, and it breaks their stamina, that's really good because one of the things, like the biggest weakness of the infinite combo with the Majin female is they can vanish or use an evasive. If their stamina is broken, they can't do either of those things. So as long as you get them in a position where you can infinite combo them, like, you know, close enough to the ground, and as long as you don't mess up the combo yourself, it's a really good way to deal a lot of damage. So here, once again, I position myself behind him just to avoid, like, if I don't do it fast enough, he doesn't blast me with the ball anyway. And then you stamina break him, and then you punish him. If someone's using an ultimate attack, and you're far away, hit X and A at the same time, and then A again. It'll do the Aura Burst Dash, and you'll go around behind them. Normally, that would send them flying. If they're charging an ultimate, it'll just break their stamina. Specifically, if you do the X plus A, and then hit A again to go behind them. Otherwise, you'll just charge forward into them, and that doesn't do it. But yeah, that was the Frieza saga. Yay. Big threat out of the way. And so now the thing that this unlocks once you beat the Frieza saga is you get your license to fly within Kanton City. And so now that Supreme Kai of Time, she's telling me, like, great, you can fly now. It also unlocks 2 NPCs in particular. There's this dude down here, and then another person that I actually don't visit during this run. It was one of the decisions I made on the spot. But they both give you outfits. They give you clothing. This dude, he gives you the Wild Rider suit, I think it's called. It's 4 pieces. Yeah, they sell for $32,500 each. And that's a lot. So I'm borrowing one of Hatlord's strategies of purchasing the ultimate attack Giant Storm. I'm going to use that in the Metal Cooler fight and in the first part of the Golden Frieza split. And then with the rest of the money, I'm just leveling up. Because again, I want those boosted attributes. Is this worth it? I don't know. It might not be. Because again, it's like, it takes a lot of time to level up. But does it save more time than it takes? You know, like over the course of fights. With that string of level ups, it's not as long as the very first time that we level up, you know? And so I'm more inclined to think it's worthwhile, but at the same time, the first one was more worthwhile because otherwise you would be so weak and underleveled throughout the run. It's just that kind of thing that you have to juggle, and it's hard to really test just because there's no, like, I feel like there's no definite way to do so, just because of how the fights, again, are not consistent every time. So yeah, we spend our attribute points, we remember to equip the ultimate attack that we just bought, and then we dive right into the Cell Saga. These fights are similar, you know, I mean, a lot of this fight is much the same. A lot of it's rinse and repeat. It's kind of just knowing when and where these things take place. So first with Android 16, you just get him down to a certain point of health as quickly as possible, and then it will move on to the next scene. And so sometimes I'll use a meteor charge as soon as I have it available, you know, with ki built up to try to take him down. But with this one, I believe I just used my infinite combo because it was strong enough, and I wanted to build up ki against Cell. And so there I have 2 blocks of ki by the time he's down. Wait for him to fly down, connect with him, do some combos. I actually think I only do the normal one on him too. No, I don't. Okay, I end with that. It really wasn't necessary if you saw where his health actually ended. Because then here, you need to get him down as quickly as possible too to move on. 1 infinite combo, 3 bars of ki for the meteor charge, with again my super strike being at like 93 points right now, with 100 being the cap. Without doing like the guru boost stuff. So you move on from that fight really quickly that way. Skipping all the cutscenes. Also, yeah, if there was a way to just skip cutscenes without editing the game data itself, you know, that would save another bit of time. And another lovely moment where you're just yanked out of the time nest so an NPC can talk to you about a thing that you'll never want to do in a run. And you just have to watch this cutscene and match through the dialogue. There's no way to skip it. Multiplayer Man is the only NPC that is on the map and you can talk to him beforehand in order to not have him appear in the run. Otherwise, you just have to do your best and like fly back in as quickly as you can to, you know, get going into the next fight to keep progressing the story. But yeah, just to say again, if at any point in this run, the first time, Yamcha is said to have like a special training event, and you'll know because like a big yellow message will appear in the middle of the screen saying Yamcha's hosting a special event, you need to stop what you're doing, just drop it all, and run and do that event. Mira, I believe, was also a troll here. Mira and Trunks together, because like Mira kept flying away, and as soon as I'd get going with Mira on something, Trunks would be like, haha, let me hit him for you, and he'd just like blast him across the room, and I'm like, Trunks, please stop. NPCs will do that a lot. You'll definitely see that in the Golden Frieza saga when or not Golden Frieza saga, the Golden Frieza split, when I'm fighting Frieza and Metal Cooler. Golden Frieza Metal Cooler, that is. It's so obnoxious. Just as soon as you get something going, like an infinite combo or starting a meteor charge, that's when they like dive in and hit them just like once to knock them away, or they'll use a Kamehameha blast or something, but it's dumb. But yes, just regarding the Yamcha special training events, if you do another mission in the meantime, whether that's like an instructor initiation or an actual story mission, there's a very real chance that Yamcha's training event will go away. I don't think it's guaranteed to go away, but it's absolutely a real chance, and so I'd never take that risk. If it happens in between expert mission tutorials that you have to do, like, go and do it, you know? Which I think is what happened in this run, actually. Okay, so here, I'm not entirely sure, to be perfectly honest, with this fight. You need to beat the 3 Cell Juniors, but the biggest thing is then Android 16 talks for forever. Beginning with this, I have a request for you. He just talks for forever, and you just have to wait it out. it finally ends when Cell is like, "You've prattled on long enough, you failure," and then you can finally move on to the next phase. But I don't know if like beating the 3-Cell Juniors super fast will skip anything. I assume it would just at the very best, like, you know, at the most, skip to Android 16 beginning his speech. But yeah, this fight's annoying just because you have to wait so long. After you beat the 3-Cell Juniors, this 4th one spawns, and he's just invincible once he has that sliver of health remaining. So I think it's just to give you something to do for the rest of the speech, but it's like, come on, just skip the speech then, man.
Nothing wrong with fighting for a just cause. Let the anger built up inside you flow freely.
I mean, I agree, like, 100% with Cell
To hold it back.
when he gives his line, you know? It's like, come on, Android 16, you've prattled on long enough. I wouldn't necessarily say the you failure part, because that's rude.
You've prattled on long
But, like, stop talking, please. There, I was trying to skip a cutscene, even though it hadn't even gone into loading yet, but you see me mashing start. This bit, kill the Cell Juniors as quickly as possible. It will immediately transition to the next stage. So you want to have had, like, a key built up from the previous thing. So that's why even though the 4th Cell Junior is invincible, like, just fight him anyway until your key bar is full, so that you can more quickly take out the first 2. You see there, I should have used Consecutive Energy Blast instead of Meteor Charge. I think that actually would have killed him, but yeah. I didn't do that. Instead, I wasted my key bar. That's okay. It happens. So this one, I mean, these next 3, there are going to be 3 Metal Cooler fights in a row. You have to fight 8 of them, and then 10 of them, and then 12 of them. As soon as you kill the allotted number, you're good. They don't have, like, that full chunk, like, spawned in at a time, I'm pretty sure. But, you know, like, as you kill one, like, another will come in, and I think that's how it works, sort of deal. I mean, they're obviously, like, multiple on at a time, but just not the full allotment. But yeah, kill them as quickly as you can. It'll move on to the next phase. And for this bit, I wanted to have 3 key bars remaining. So even though I could have killed that last one with a Consecutive Energy Blast, I wanted to have at least 3 key bars remaining because I wanted to be able to use my ultimate. Now, it didn't work out super well in this run, as you will see, but it has worked out beautifully in the past, where as soon as it starts, I just use the ultimate. It kills 1 of them. Before, like, it's killed 4 of them for me. And that's amazing, you know? It's like, oh, sweet, now I don't have to hunt 4 of them down. But the nice thing with the new, like, Toslog leveling strats I found is that you can beat them in one of your combos. Before, you would have to get them in 2. And so just only having to do 1 full combo instead of 2 full combos, obviously that saves time, especially over the course of 10 enemies here and then 12 in the next phase. So here, I'm just beating them as quickly as I can, targeting the next one, zooming in, connecting with a light attack, and then going into my heavy attack combo. Because if I were to zoom and then hit the heavy attack button, I would actually kick them and send them flying, and I don't want that. It's fine if you do that and then hit A immediately to vanish behind where they're going to be, but otherwise it can be a pain. Oh, so actually it did work out pretty well there. So I did it, I used my ultimate right away. It killed 3 of them in 1 blast, and that's pretty nice. Obviously, it doesn't always happen because it just depends on where the NPCs, the Metal Coolers, decide to go. But yeah. The issue is if it only kills 1, or if it doesn't kill any, like that attack, it takes time. Because, you know, an ultimate attack, like, first it takes up 3 bars of key, which you could have used on, like, Consecutive Energy Blasts, which take down 1 Metal Cooler each, assuming that all the key blasts hit. But it also just has the animation of, like, triggering the ultimate attack. So it's, that's another time where it's like, you really have to weigh the risk and reward of using the ultimate, determine whether or not it's actually something you should do in that moment. Okay, but now we're done with the Metal Coolers. All that we have left of this split is we need to beat Cell one more time, and we need to beat him all the way. I've had fights of this that go really well, and Cell just kind of cooperates, and I beat him up. And then I believe I had this attempt where, where I floundered around trying to chase after him, and yeah, you see, like, it's not going great. And, you know, part of that's me and sloppy playing, and part of that's just, well, I got unlucky because he decided to vanish here, or because Gohan decided to, like, launch him off into space, or this or that. Yeah. Something you have to deal with, and, like, you know, when things happen, you adapt as best you can. Sometimes there's only so much you can do. If I played this game just like casually, you know, with like normal vanilla strategies, if I actually became better at normal fighting, then, you know, then I'd be better at the run. Because like as it is now, I have to rely on like the speed run tech, you know? Now, if you look at the Cell Saga split, that was a good split for me. It's just that last fight against Cell himself was not good. So I did well in other areas, particularly with this one, this split, this run. I did really well this time against Android 17 at the beginning and then Cell at the beginning, both of those phases he had. And I think I did okay against the Metal Coolers, you know? I think I've had better. But yeah, another super annoying part, Bulma here pulls you out to be like, look at these mascots! And worse yet, not only do you have to mash through text, why does it have to black out like 3 or 4 different times? Because if you could just mash through the text all in one go, it would at least be faster. It's still annoying that she yanks you out to be like, look, you can have this, bye. You don't need to do that. You don't. Because like I said, with Multiplayer Man, you can talk to him ahead of time so he doesn't yank you out of the time nest. Bulma, she doesn't appear for that purpose in this game. I haven't been able to find her, at least. So it's unfortunate. Because like now, she'll just be sitting in Kanton City in that recreational plaza. And you just talk to her for, I guess, a refresher on the mascots. But she's not there beforehand. So you can't get it out of the way. With Android 16 and with Broly, you know, we'll see Broly soon. They both have that annoying evasive of just, I mean, they're different, but they both have an annoying evasive of, I'm gonna have a green sphere around me, and it'll just knock everyone away. And sometimes they are super evasive happy, and they will just pop that over and over again, and it sucks. And then sometimes they'll never use it, and you're like, thank you. It's similar to, you know, when an NPC ally, sometimes they'll just sit back and do nothing in the fight. And that's great, that's amazing. Other times, they will rush in to knock the enemy away and then turn and look at you with a grin and be like, I did it good, right? And you're like, no, Gohan, you did it bad. And, you know, there's just so much you can do. I have no idea if there's any, like, RNG manipulation or anything in this game. Like, if there is, you know, it hasn't been discovered, it's nothing consistent. But yeah, you just have to hope that people will cooperate with you. Because otherwise it can take, you know, it can make a fight take so much longer. Obviously, there are ways that you can just mitigate some things. But sometimes there's just nothing you can do. So once again, just, that's unfortunate, but back in we go. The stylist actually does appear right at the beginning of the game. You might have seen me run past him when you have to talk to those 3 people before even going into the Raditz fight. But if you talk to him then, doesn't matter. He'll still appear. super dumb. And he was updated into this game like within this week. He and one other thing. Oh, another thing I should have mentioned. Not only do I play on the Steam version, on Steam, play in offline mode. Otherwise, you'll be dragged out for another little scene because there's an online like voting system that they introduced this week as well. If you're in offline mode, it doesn't pop up. Thank goodness. I would have been really frustrated. I mean, I'm already frustrated about Stylist. Like, they keep just adding new things to the game, which is good, like longevity of the game and everything. But every time they do, it makes the speedrun more difficult. Like, they need to, if they're gonna add more things that'll benefit us. Come on. They don't care about the speedrunners. I'm sure they hate the speedrunners, but anyway, yeah. Android 16's down, so now we gotta kill Cell. And then that'll be the end of this split.
The only explanation for it. I know them about. So, seeing that this stranger is my ally. You know, to be honest.
People of Canton City, have you been to the Hero Coliseum yet?
So here we go for the expert mission tutorials. There are 2 of them that are mandatory in this run. I mean, because they're just the expert mission tutorials. One is against a Great Ape, and it shows you how, like, your allies can be mind controlled and how to break out of it, and what happens when you're mind controlled, you know, and how you can break out of it. And then the next expert mission shows you, like, he can send you into another dimension, and then you have to fight this dude and then go through the portal to get back to the, like, boss dimension, you know? So you can't skip these, unfortunately. But you can get through them as quickly as possible. And that's really what it is. It's just a matter of doing each objective as quickly as you can, which really just amounts to beating down the particular enemy. So here, you're mind controlled, so you just have to go and beat the dark you know? And I didn't do the best at this. I vanished, and I meteor crashed in order to compensate for my failed charge at the beginning. And that's fine. But, you know, it could have been better. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't the best. And so, Sage of Keyblades and Lord Pixel told me this bit. So normally, what the game does here is like, quick, this person's being mind controlled. Punch them during this to break them out of it. If you don't, though, it'll actually just move on to the next phase, which is like, all right, this is what happens if you don't do that. So if you just don't do that from the beginning, cool. You get to skip that first little bit. It's not a ton, but it is a time save, absolutely. So she's mind controlled. You just beat her up as quickly as you can. Him or her, because, you know, it's just like random time patrollers. Like one of them that I fought in my like 2-hour 23 run was named Tables. It was great because, you know, the tables have turned. With that one, you just need to throw like a charged Ki Blast. And I think you can start charging just once you see the scene of him jumping up, and as soon as you see the target on the, you know, the big Ki Blast, the giant one, just throw yours. Just like let go of B, and it'll connect, it'll send it back to him, because it's a tutorial, so it doesn't make you do a ton. It's just like, yep, that charged Ki Blast of yours was enough damage. You did it. And then at this point, I was like, you know, if a Yamcha thing came up here, I'd do it. And then the Yamcha thing came up, and so, thinking quickly, I flew up here to the this transfer shop clerk. You go straight to the resort district. You go straight to Yamcha. You mash the buttons, and so he throws the stone. And this is where you're praying. Now that Yamcha's event is triggered, please have a stone on this island. And so I do my full sweep around. And thankfully, there it was right there. So you deliver that to him, and he's like, oh my gosh, you did it real fast. And he gives you 10. If he throws it not on the island, but somewhere further down, you're almost guaranteed to only get 8 medals just because you can't do that fast enough. You can't go down there and then come back up fast enough. So it's really obnoxious. So here, I was fortunate that he threw it on the island, got my 10 medals. And so that means, having done, you know, all of the other like instructor initiations already, I already have my 15 TP medals, so I can just mark that split off as soon as I reach that point, basically. And then, yeah, we fly back over, or we use the transfer shop to go back to Majin Buu's Rift. We don't go into the miniature, but like we go onto the Rift platform, because that's just right by the expert mission, like, portal. And yeah, there's no way to avoid what's happening here, me being sent into the other dimension. It's just part of the tutorial. You beat the Cyberman that's here, you whoosh back into the portal, you move on to the next bit. So, we did that, we went through the portal. Now we need to go and break 2 purple rock things. Because the people who are sent off to other dimensions, if you break these rocks, they'll automatically be brought back, and it's great. So to do it as quickly as possible, you want to fly over, use a light attack to connect with it, and then finish it off with your heavy attack combo. And then from there, it's just kill the boss as quickly as you can. And there you go. Those are the extra missions. And so I mark it on clear. Other people will mark it like when they talk to Supreme Kai of Time afterward, because it is mandatory to talk to her afterward, in order to unlock like the next story thing. Just depends on your preference. It's for keeping your splits straight for the most part, to see where you can improve and whatnot.
I've been waiting.
And now we run back in. So this split, OBS, or not OBS, live split refers to it as BS, which is fair. It stands for Buu Saga and Janemba, but you know, when a name is too long, OBS will just abbreviate it, so it's BS. And yeah, that's fitting enough. This is where we get to fight Broly and Majin Buu and Super Buu. Not all at once, mind you. Super Buu is his own thing. But Broly, he just drops in because he hates Goku so much. You know? Dumb crying babies or something? So with this first part, you have 2 enemies on the map. There's Broly and there's Vegeta. Don't bother with Vegeta at all. It doesn't matter. You just need to get Broly down, and then you just need to wait for the cutscene to end, basically. You know, for the dialogue to finish up.
Do it if we fight Majin Buu together. Even you are vulnerable when you're not being careful. I release Majin Buu, so I'll deal with it. After that, we'll have our fight.
Cool. Scene transition. So now, once again, beat up Broly. You've already gotten him down pretty weak, so just finish him off. And then go for Majin Buu. You want to get Majin Buu down to, again, like a certain amount of health, and then Vegeta will start talking about how Majin Buu's immortal. And then, you know, once that dialogue finishes, the scene will transition. Like, you move on to the Super Buu fight.
whoever you are, you've allowed me to fight Tackle without reservation. For that, I owe you thanks. Go on! Go! Out of here as fast as you can! Move!
Yay, you did it. So when Yamcha offers additional classes, you can just ignore them. You're desperately hoping for one before the 15 TP medal split. And then after that, you don't need him anymore. So you don't want him to pop up just because it's another like dialogue box to click through. It's not a huge thing, but yeah. Before, like, you know, prior to 3 weeks ago, you actually did need to do 2 Yamcha events. But the strategies have changed now. Actually, with the advent of the NPCs that give you clothing. Because what you would do with the second Yamcha event before is you use those TP medals to buy extra clothes, to sell those, to buy food. Because it was needed for the transformation split. And you require your race-specific transformation just in order to proceed with the story. It's like right at the end of the game. You know, the main storyline. But, you know, once I found like, oh, this dude will just give you the Wild Rider suit and you can sell that for like just as much money. You only need to do Yamcha's thing once, just because of the TP medal requirement specifically. If it were just a Zenny requirement, you wouldn't have to do Yamcha's thing at all. It'd be amazing. But currently, Yamcha's training event is the fastest way to get 10 of those medals, and so you just gotta do it. Yeah, these fights here have really just been beat him as quickly as possible, so there's not much to say. Like, I mentioned this with the Android 16 fight. A number of characters have evasive moves, and you just hope that they don't use them. I mean, like you saw with Boo, too. He has that, like, turning to candy, and he freaking turns you into candy, and you can't do anything but fly around for a good few seconds. It's so annoying. Or later, you'll see a move, he turns you into, like, I don't know, a gingerbread kind of thing? I don't know. Turns you into some sort of food, and he eats you. And so not only does that take time because it's, like, a little cutscene all its own, but it heals him. I hate it. Okay, but yeah. So there goes Super Boo. And so now, before we can, like, call the split good, we need to beat Janemba. So there's this first bit where it's just you against Janemba, which usually I'm not too afraid of, but it's one of those where it can go wrong. Not to the point where I worry about dying, but it's just like, I can't hit you. Like, this is taking so much time. But you get him down to a certain amount of health. It transitions to Vegeta joining you, and then you just have to beat him. Just beat him as quickly as possible from here. And that's where I'm trying to use the Meteor Crash more. And you see there, I used Consecutive Blast. It would have finished him off, right? But there was something about the terrain, something about this environment. There was an invisible wall that blocked all of my blasts. And you see how much time that added on to it. It's so annoying, but apparently that's a thing. But yeah, you beat Janemba, it says clear, I mark my split. And this is where you need the 15 TP medals. Since I already have them, I'm just going to immediately go and talk to Elder Kai. And this was what I hoped would be the time save. Not having to like leave the time nest again of my own volition, just to go and get, like, do those instructor missions to get the TP medals, but like while I'm already out and doing things, can I get the TP medals ahead of time so that once the split comes up, I can just immediately dive into the next, fight with Kid Buu. And like you can see that there was time saved I just don't know for sure if it was because of that strat or if there are other factors to consider. I don't know, it's hard to say.
We're going to need a lot more if we want to be through. I know that. Problem is, no one is trusting me for some reason. Damn it, Earthling! Hurry up!
So with this fight, well, first, I'll say Kid Buu, I think, he's dangerous. He's one of those I'm afraid of. But you need to get him down his health to about where his name is, like a little above that, and then Hercule will start talking here. And then from this point, it's just waiting for that dialogue to end. And then it'll transition to a scene of Goku with the Spirit Bomb. But again, the issue is, like, Kid Buu can keep fighting you. So if you've had a bad fight against him, while this dialogue is going on, he's invincible. You're not. I've died against him during that bit. Like, more than I'd like to admit.
It's here!
Just while Hercule's yammering on. So now we have the Bardock and Beerus fight. And it doesn't actually put you back to the time nest. And so really, like, I feel like maybe I shouldn't have split Kid Buu and the Bardock and Beerus, like, splits to begin with. Shouldn't have separated them. But, you know, I just copied the world record holder splits. So here we are. Yeah, you fight Bardock, and then you fight Mira, and then you fight Beerus. So the split name is a little misleading. Maybe it should be Bamb, but, or BMB, you know, but it's, whatever, Bardock and Beerus, here we go. One of the things that I find difficult about these fights is that they take place, I mean, first, the enemies can just be kind of tough, but they also take place in space, right? The infinite combo kind of relies on the floor. And, like, while there is a floor in this arena, just because there has to be, you know, I needed to do, like, one more bit of damage here, and he guarded it. It was so annoying. There is a floor, but it's invisible, and so, like, it's really hard to tell for me when an enemy is, like, down on the ground, where I could lock him into that infinite combo. Something that Hatlord did in his run, which I've yet to try, but it seems promising, is just at the beginning of the fight, he descends to the bottom, and so, you know, the opponent will follow you, right? I didn't try that here because I was hoping that just kicking them down with the end of the heavy combo would do the trick. You know, it does to an extent, but it might not be as efficient. I don't know. My concern would just be if I descend and let them come to me, they're going to get their first hit off, and then they're going to combo, and then they're going to combo, and just, like, keep going, and I won't get a chance. Because even when I use vanishes, you know, I can just get unlucky, and they'll immediately hit me, and then I'll vanish again, they'll immediately hit me, and then I'm out of stamina.
The last time he was whistled, he extinguished 2 suns.
You see, like, I vanished there, and then he just back kicks. And so my stamina's wasted, and he got to hit me and, you know, do a combo anyway. Whis kind of saved me there. I mean, he didn't save me, like, whatever. But he just started attacking Beerus, so Beerus could no longer attack me. But it's the kind of thing you have to deal with.
After what you ate, it's no longer a possibility. Just rest for a while. So humble. Simply being a martyr would not create such a strength. Looking for work? You could be the next god of destruction.
You can see me being all afraid for my health at this point. Because basically, if Beerus got me in one good combo, he could kill me here. And so you see I pull out an energy capsule, I pop it really quickly. I don't think it ended up being necessary, but you really never know. And I did not want to have to redo this. You know, I was on a pretty good run, I felt, or at the very least, I wanted to see my test through to the end. You know, my test to see of, like, the parallel quest strategy kind of deal. So I had equipped those healing items for a reason. I was gonna use it. And it's one of the things you have to gauge, like, first, whether or not you need to pick up Amy's suit for that extra, like, max health, whether or not you want to equip the energy capsules that you naturally get 2 over the course of the run, like, pretty early on, so you can equip those. Or not, because again, like, it technically takes time to equip them, but I use them there, and so it's just, you have to gauge it. It's a risk. But yeah. Here I'm leaving so I can go back to the recreational plaza, go back to the store. I want to get the Super Soul, like I hope you're reborn as something good or whatever that is. Which I think is Goku in reference to Majin Buu. But what that is like if you're in a fight with multiple enemies, when you KO one enemy, your ki is automatically fully filled. And that's pretty cool. This is another thing that Hatlord used when he took the world record from me previously. And so, like, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of Giant Storm. Sometimes I am, but, like, it can just be so... It's literally hit or miss, you know? Hit or miss, or hit and they guard anyway. But I like this Super Soul, and I don't know if I ever would have, like, found it on my own. Because, again, I don't play the game casually. But I'm going to... I end up using it a little bit differently in this fight than I did in my previous attempt. In my previous attempt, which was a 1 hour 52 minute run, 52 something seconds, I don't remember. I basically would use it whenever I had 3 bars of ki. I didn't quite do that here. Because, like, I would just use it and hope that people would fly into it and it would result in a multi-kill kind of thing. And it did sometimes. Here, I was mostly hoping that I could just, I'll kill one of them right away, as quickly as I can, even though he's totally trolling me and it takes forever to beat just one dude. It's a shameful beginning, this. Just know that. But if I can beat one of them, see, my ki automatically fills up. And so now here, if I can just connect with someone else and then meteor charge, one meteor charge will kill them completely. And I have my full ki again. So if I can connect one more time and then meteor charge, then my ki is fully replenished again. If I can connect with another and then meteor charge, so on and so forth. So that's what I did with most of these enemies. Because, you know, I boosted my strike skills, you know, to 100 by this point, 100 attribute points. So I really wanted to take advantage of that. And I figured with the time that it saves... It's a balance. This is another case where it's like, depending on how it worked out, the Giant Storm could be amazing, because sure, it takes time to activate. You know, there's like the little scene of you doing the, you flip your fingers up kind of thing. But if it kills like 3 people, that's awesome. This one with like Meteor Crash, I think it's just more consistent. You're not going to get a lucky like quadruple kill. Like, no way. But you're going to kill people as long as you can connect, right? There I tried to do the ultimate attack and someone just stamina broke me. And here I tried to do it. It would have killed 2 people, but they're both guarded. So those were 2 times I tried to use the ultimate attack and it really backfired. It wasn't great. And here I'm just trying to connect with Meteor Crash. I try to hit him with consecutive energy blast, but he just keeps dancing. He was really obnoxious. I hate him. I see them clustering around. And so I try to use it to get a multi-kill. Nope, I only get the 1. I see another cluster. And there they go. That time it paid off. So it's... Sometimes it works out really well using Giant Storm. Other times it doesn't. This fight is another case where you just have to wait for dialogue. But like once that dialogue is over, Frieza has to be at a certain amount of health, I'm pretty sure, for the scene to like move on to the next fight. So like I still beat him as quickly as possible, but a big reason for that is just like I keep fighting him here too. I just want him off my back. If you die here against Frieza in this particular fight, you're sent back. Like, you have to watch those beginning cutscenes or skip them again, you know? And then beat all 15 of his minions all over again. It is the worst thing. I think the first time I actually tried to do like a speed run of this game, my first attempt of it, I think I died on either that minion fight or this fight, you know, therefore having to redo the minion fight itself. Like 3 or 4 times, it was terrible. And so, you know, my end run time was like 3 hours and 30 minutes. It was not good. So you really, while oftentimes that Frieza fight isn't anything terrible, you can't like slack off either, because it could just end poorly. Get Frieza down here to a certain amount of health, and then his brother will show up. So we got him down to that health. It's like just past his first full bar, and now it's Metal Cooler and Golden Frieza. You just have to beat them both. You have Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Goku, and I guess I'll just Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. You have both of them helping you. At the very least, quote-unquote helping you. Because sometimes, like, what I want is I want them to leave me alone with one of them, right? Like, let me fight Golden Frieza or Metal Cooler. I don't care which. Just let me fight one of them. You two focus on the other. Because then hopefully by that point, once I'm finished with the first, I would move on to the second and he'd be weak. But instead, like, they tend to go, you know, Vegeta's on one, Goku's on the other, and I just have to pick one of them and try to fight alongside the NPC. And again, like, they can just interrupt all of your combos or your super attacks that you try to pull off. It could just be, in general, really obnoxious. Aha, did you think this split was over just because you beat them both? You're wrong. They're back and they're more powerful now. But it's the same, it's basically the same fight. You have the same two allies, you're in the same area. I think they're at a higher level. Like, if you use the scouter, you can actually see what level any NPCs are, you know? But I don't do that. So they're probably at a higher level. But you just beat them both. Knock them both out. Same thing here though, you'll see like as I kill Metal Cooler, full key again. And so sometimes if I think that like the meteor crash, if that'll finish an enemy off, you know, especially if I have to another enemy right after, like yeah, I'll do it. I mean, I say especially if I have another enemy right after. If they're the only person and a full meteor crash will finish them off, yeah, by all means, end the fight as quickly as possible with the speedrun. Something that you might not know about meteor crash, because I didn't know when I was running this for a long time. It took me forever to learn, or to relearn, because maybe I knew and just forgot. But you can actually hold down the button for meteor crash and use up to 3 bars of ki. You need at least 1 bar of ki to activate it, but you can hold it for up to 3 bars. So, you know, up to the same as like a lot of ultimates cost. Different super attacks and ultimate attacks cost different bars of ki. Just in the same way like different transformations will cost different amounts of ki. Or different amounts of ki will affect transformations. For instance, I actually don't know how many bars, so I shouldn't give this full explanation. But for the Super Saiyan transformation, if you have like X number of bars of ki, you have Super Saiyan 1. If you have Y number, you're Super Saiyan 2. Z number, Super Saiyan 3. You know, it's that kind of thing. And this is not like bars of ki possible. This is like how many do you currently have filled. So now we need to fight Whis. At the beginning, we have Beerus, again, quote-unquote, helping us. And you could see me messing on my combo where I don't get the ki blast off like I mean to. Or like that time where I got the ki blast off but didn't zoom forward, I flew forward. I just had bad combos this this fight. Whisa's fight is not my favorite. I tend to have trouble. Him and Beerus are... There's just something about their, like, kit, I guess, that I struggle against. But obviously a lot of the fights toward the end here are just harder. Both in my opinion and in general, I'm pretty sure. Because, you know, you're nearing the end game. But yeah, because I don't remember if I actually finished saying this. Beerus starts a fight with you, but then if you watch the dialogue, like, Whis signs his autograph on Beerus's forehead, I'm pretty sure, in permanent ink. And so Beerus goes to wash it off. So he just leaves the fight. But yeah, once you beat Whis, there's that split on the clear. And you see there, like, I did really well. You can see, like, if you look at the splits, I have some gold splits up there. And so, like I said, there were some fights I did really poorly at in this run, and there were some it was the best I'd ever done. And with the Golden Frieza and the Whis training splits, this is where I started getting hopeful. You know, with Golden Frieza, like, I was like, oh, cool, I save a minute, I'm gonna get a PB maybe, right? And then when I saw the Whis training split, I was like, holy crap. Maybe I can get the record. And it was close. It was very close. Because we'll see like another rise and then a fall. And by rise, I mean like I saved even more time and then I lost time. And I was like, please no, you know? Because we're like right at the end here. What we have the Bardock and Hero split. We have the transformation split. We have the Toa split. And then we have the final fight split. The final fight incorporates the 3 phases of the Mira fight at the end. So with this one, you get Masked Saiyan down to a certain amount of health, the scene transitions, and now Mira's in the fight too. Beat Masked Saiyan as quickly as you can, then beat Mira as quickly as you can, and you'll move on.
Stronger than ever. And that's one of Majin Buu's.
Here you see Trunks being annoying, and he keeps interrupting my combos. Whether by using a key super of his own, or by dashing in and giving him a good old kick, setting him flying. Because you want the moments like this where you can just keep him going along the ground, right? And here I was just like, please let me finish him, he's so weak, and then he uses an evasive, so I send a consecutive energy blast just to finish him off. And next we have a fight with the Masked Hero, not the Masked Saiyan, but it's the hero from, Xenoverse 1 if you imported your character, or just the character that you chose from the beginning of the game. It gives you a whole list of options. And Toa teaming together against you. You can ignore Toa completely. The fight ends as soon as you beat the hero. And so you want to focus him as quickly as you can. The issue is, of course, Toa can still fight you, she can interrupt you, she has an ultimate attack that heals her ally, that heals the hero here. And obviously you don't want that. The biggest issues, though, are if the hero, from what I found, does his evasive, or things like that. So something I knew when doing this run is that I had a really bad hero run in like the previous run, which is what these splits are based off of. And so I was like, as long as I get a decent hero, this split will be so much better. And lo and behold, look at that, it was. We went from the -2 minutes to the -3 minutes. And this is where I was really thinking, I can get the world record again. Because my best time at the time of recording this was 1 hour 52 something, and the world record was 1 hour 50 something. I don't remember the seconds. I'm sorry. But of course, going into something that I'm anxious about is the transformation. So first, again, well, to progress in the story, you need to do your race-specific transformation. So even though there are transformations in this game like Kaioken, which like anyone can pick up, you need the one that's specific to your race. So for Majins, we need to feed Majin Buu a bunch of food, and he'll spawn 3 offspring. And then if we talk to him again, he'll show us the purification transformation. So how we handle the food. First, we use those 15 TP medals that were mandatory to go and buy 3 sets of Beerus's clothes. And that's because Beerus's clothes are like the most expensive that you can buy. At the very least for that amount of TP medals. I think it's the most though, just period. And then you want to buy 99 water and 2 chocolate. It takes 34 water for Majin Buu to spawn another offspring. And so, you know, 34 plus 34 plus 34, like, that's more than 99, and you can only have 99 of one thing at a time. So you buy 2 chocolate just to make up for it. So it'll be 34, 34, and then 31 water plus 2 chocolate. But yeah, we buy all those. We teleport to his rift as quickly as possible. We just spam through this. I mean, I'm just holding right on the D-pad when I do this. I don't know if there's a faster way. But you see, he spawns his first little Majinling. And then you do the same thing. Given another 34 water, he'll pop out another one. And you have to wonder, is this how I came to be, considering I am also a Majin? I have no idea. I don't know the lore that well to tell you. To my knowledge, Majin Buu was the first. And everything else spawned from him, but I don't know. You give him 31 water, you give him the 2 chocolate, and he'll spawn the 3rd and final that you need. So I guess, you know, when you're buying those food items, you want to be careful. Because, like, technically, the fewer things you buy, the faster you can get out of the store. But, like, if you accidentally leave with only 1 chocolate, uh-oh. Like, you'd have to go all the way back to the store to buy 1 more. You know, if you buy 3... that's fine. You just have an extra bit of chocolate in your pocket, and who doesn't like that? Until it melts. That's obnoxious. But yes, now we're actually going to do the fight. So first, you have to get Majin Buu down to a certain amount of health, and then the game will prompt you to actually start, like, trigger the transformation. You can't trigger it ahead of time, but that's kind of okay. I don't love purification. Though, honestly, having done this run, I feel a little bit better about it. I have an idea of, like, how I'm going to handle it the next time I do a run. Because I just found a combo that's super simple, but I, like, had missed before. But you see, he's at this point of health now, so we wait for the dialogue, the box will pop up, it'll be like, yeah, transform. And there you go. Now I look exactly like Kid Buu, even though I'm a girl. So my hope here was I was just like, he's weak, let me just finish him off with Ki Blast real quick. If I had just gone up to him and bashed him, it would have been faster. But at this point, I decided not to cut my losses, and I just kept doing it until he was dead. Now, he comes back. Not only does he come back, you also have to fight 3 small Majin Buus. It's the same thing, but smaller. So you have to beat them all, and I was trying different things here. This is something I found in, like, a previous test where I got a 154. I was doing that Vanishing Ball ultimate. So here, like, I got up to another 3 bars of Ki, and then I tried it again. Because he blocked it the first time, you know? I wanted to see what the damage when he didn't. And then he just straight up dodged it, because I guess he can do that. And then this is where I found, like... oh, I guess not quite here. Because then I was just kicking him. But you see, I'll kick him to death, I guess. I guess it's on the next one where I found the strategy that I want to try to use next time. Once you lock onto someone, if you hit Y, you'll do that, like, fast ball launch over toward them. If you keep hitting Y, you'll do your bash combo like this and launch him downward. And so it's like, if I launch him downward, and then I hit Y again to launch toward him, and then I just go immediately into the Y combo, like, as long as I'm close enough and facing the right way, it should just chain in nicely, right? That's what I figured, at least. And so I try that with these last few guys here, and I'm gonna try to take more advantage of that, you know, the next time I do a run. For here, yeah, like, you see him doing an ultimate attack, and so you want to hit him as quickly as possible. With a charged, like a fully charged heavy attack, Here, it was super annoying. Like, I dodged his evasive, and then he immediately went into an ultimate. I used an evasive, and it didn't matter. So again, like, I just had to watch this scene, turns me into gingerbread man thing, poofs me out, and he has more health now. So the fight would have ended a little faster if that hadn't happened, but oh well, I guess. And so you see, like, I lost time there between, like, the previous split and this split. Not a ton of time, but obviously you don't want to... You want to keep saving time, you know? You want that negative to be really high. But there we go, the transformation split is complete. And now we peace out.
Greetings.
So with transformation unlocked, we rush back to the time nest as quickly as we can. So, you know, you just leave the Majin Buu Rift, use the transfer shop clerk, go to the time nest, fly in. And then we talk to Elder Kai to begin the next mission. This one, it's just us against Toa. Trunks will join us pretty early on. And I've had a lot of fights with Toa where she just bullied me. She would be able to get a quick hit in, and then she'd follow that up with a combo, and she's stupid and fast with light attacks and whatnot. I didn't want that to happen. So I started it off with an Aura Burst Dash, where, you know, like, I charged her, poofed behind her, hit her, teleported, like, used Vanish to end up behind her, and then I went into a combo. Is it necessary? No. Do I think it helped? I do. So I want to try more things like that. But then, yeah, you're beating her as quickly as you can. She has that annoying evasive, I assume it's an evasive, where she just gets out of there, she's invisible for a little bit. It's dumb. And then she has an ultimate. I don't remember if she uses here. No, she doesn't use it here. We beat her in time. She has an ultimate, like I said, where she summons like a pillar of light and it heals her. If she does that, you know, do a heavy attack to stun her, stamina break her rather. That can be useful. But there's the Toa split. And I did it just as quickly, I guess. Because, you know, you see there's no change between those two splits. So now here's the final split of the run. The final fight consisting of 3 phases. The first phase, to my knowledge, it doesn't really matter as much how quickly you beat it. Because there is so much dialogue in this fight alone. It's so dumb. Most of it is like Toa being, you know, Mira, where did you get this power from? And then she freaks out because it's like, you're gonna destroy the whole universe and everything. Because he's overheating and whatnot. But the good thing is, once you get him down to, and you can see me, I keep messing up my combo there. Once you get him down to a sliver of health, he's invincible, but so are you. This is the only fight in the entire run where you're also invincible. And so you'll see here, like, I'll keep fighting him to build up my ki to an extent, but you also get ki when you take damage, and so it's not, like, strictly necessary. And then I'll just sit and let him beat on me, because I might as well.
As I floated between them,
Like, there's no reason really not to do this.
put a lot of thought into what it was.
See there, I'm not taking any damage. So this is where you can pull out your phone and, you know, check a message or something.
Was fighting spirit, the will to stand up against any foe without fear. A being like me,
I did at one point want to pull out my scouter to see what level he was.
deprived of such a spirit.
But it may have been a little bit late to do that. Because, like, when he's charging at you, trying to punch you, it's kind of hard to get a good opportunity to pull your scouter out and focus on him. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, there's no way to skip any of this dialogue. No way to speed it up. Because it's like, I got Mira down to, a sliver. And he's still fighting, and she's still talking, so you just gotta sit and deal with it.
There's no telling how large this explosion might be. If it's able to tear through dimensions and break through this egg, then we're poached. You there! If you don't stop Mira soon, then we'll all go up in smoke.
You see there the flash of the scouter, where I try to see his level. I guess maybe you could pause and see. That's me trying to skip the cutscene coming up. Now, how quickly you take him out this phase does matter. And so him starting with that and me not being able to hit him was bad. But him using an ultimate and then letting me chain into this infinite combo, that was good. And that's just where you want to take advantage of it as much as possible and not accidentally do the stamina break move that I did. I didn't mean to, it just happened. But he did another ultimate, so yay. We have another chance to do a combo. I was incredibly tense and nervous during this. The nice thing about this is that your ki carries over from this fight into the Furry Mira fight, as I call it, the Furry Mira, because look at him. And so your ki remains. And he counts as an enemy, and so once you beat him, your Super Soul activates and your ki bar automatically fills up all the way. So right away you could go into using supers or ultimates if you wanted to. I was trying to get him into a combo, but you know, I couldn't. With the fighting style that I picked, I don't have super guard. You can only get that with the melee one. I'm not good at using after image. I'm not really sure how it works, so I just stood there and took his ultimate. I keep forgetting you can guard them at all. But I just wanted to get it over with as quickly as possible, you know. But yes, this is the last fight. The timer, like you make the split and the timer ends on the final hit of the boss. And so this is just where you're desperately trying to kill him as quickly as you possibly can. And so this fight did not go great for me. You can tell by the cutscene, like generally how long this final fight took, because I think it's if you beat it in under 2 minutes. I don't know. It's if you beat it in under a certain amount of time, which clearly I don't know. The cutscene is different, and all these people appear behind you, and they give you creepy smiles, and then you deliver the Dragon Fist Punch. Instead, with this run, you'll see that like Goku does that, and then he shouts "Do it," and then you Kamehameha blast him. And honestly, I like that cutscene. I like it better than the other one, but the other one means you did it faster, so you know. Oh well. But I'm trying to catch him in a combo if I can. I'm trying to like time my my meteor crash. I was trying desperately there to avoid getting caught in his ultimate because I didn't have the stamina to avoid it or like evasive out of it. And there we go, time. So that was my run yesterday of Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. World record by I think again 29 seconds. There were definitely fights that could have gone better. But at the same time, there were a lot of fights that I did, you know, better than I've ever done before. And it's just that balance. Like, is there the potential for more time saves? Like, absolutely. But there's also so much potential for fights to go wrong. So it's really difficult to say. But honestly, yeah, like this cutscene with your interactions with Goku, I like the intensity of it and the camaraderie of it. And I like seeing Mira being blasted through and like going through this void, this Kamehameha like tunnel, right? I like it a lot better than him just blowing up, basically, in the other cutscene. So, yeah. So yep, that was my run. We'll see how long it stays world record. Probably not too long. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. If you want to watch more, follow me on Twitch. Just, you know, subscribe to me here. But yeah, have a good one, everybody.